In this video, we're going to put together a 1 HP fusion fountain with a new or replacement motor. If you need to disassemble your old motor, you can refer back to our disassembly video. The first step is to make sure you have everything laid out in order. So from when you disassembled your fountain, try and lay it out in the correct order. So when we put it back together, it's a much smoother process. So we're first going to put the pump housing on top of the motor. We find that it's easiest to grab your two washers. So you've got a split washer and a regular washer. The split washer goes on top, and to line them up on the holes inside the pump housing, there should be 4 holes, rather than putting it on top of the motor and then trying to reach in. So you'll line them up. And then there's a little groove opening in the pump house, and you'll line that up with the cable so that the cable goes nicely through there. There we go. Now grab your 13mm ratchet, and you're going to put your 4 nuts onto the bolts. And when you tighten it up, just tighten it part of the way and then go around and tighten it further all the way around. Now that your pump housing is tightly screwed on, you're going to turn it upside down, and our newer models will have this. If you don't have one, don't stress, it's okay. But if you do, you'll just need to have it so that the grooves here are facing downwards. There are no grooves up the top. And you're going to thread the cable through that. And pop it over the motor. And the grooves will line up with the pump housing and sit nicely locked in. Now you're going to put on your suction screen. You'll see on one side there's a tiny little lip around the edge, and that will lock into your pump housing. So the grooves over here, they will be facing you, facing up, and you're going to just again thread the cord through the suction screen, and then your screen will sit nicely over the top and lock in. You'll see on your suction screen and pump housing there's a flat edge, 2 flat edges actually, so make sure you line those up correctly. Next, take your suction screen end cap, and again this has 2 flat edges, so it will line up with the suction screen flat edges, and you're just going to place your cable in so it sits in the groove, and then line up your edges and the holes. Now we're ready to fasten it all together. So the end cap, the suction screen, and the pump housing. You're going to take your bolt, and you'll have 3 washers, 2 regular washers and a split washer. You're going to put 1 regular washer onto the bolt, pop the bolt through one of the holes, and then another regular washer. Then your split washer, and then you're going to fasten the nut to the bolt. Then grab your 11mm socket and 11mm wrench, and you'll pop your wrench on the bottom bolt, and then you can tighten it up. Now you're going to secure the cable, so you'll grab the little metal ring and thread that up and over the groove, and then you can grab your flathead screw and tighten that up so that it doesn't fall down. So the next step is to put your impellers back together. So again, you should have, when you took it apart, keep it in order so that you can just grab the last piece to put it back on. So we're going to take this one and line it up so that it sits over the cable. And then grab your screw and screw that on. Then take your impeller and you'll see that on one side it says up, and that's the side that needs to be facing you. And you'll line it up with, there's a little key next to the shaft, and you will line the groove up with that so that it sits nicely over the top and locks in. Then take this piece and you'll see on this side that's flush, there are holes that are open and some that are closed. You want to take the holes that are open and match them up with the holes for the screws inside. Once it's all lined up, it should lock in and not move when you twist it. If it spins when you twist it, this just means that the impeller hasn't been pushed down far enough. So you'll just need to give it another push and then line it up and make sure that it's locked in and not moving. And again, line up the holes with the screw holes. And that should lock in like that so that when you turn it, it doesn't spin. And then grab your second impeller, and it will have the word up, so make sure that that's facing you. And you can again line that up and push that on. Line up the holes with the screw holes. And that should all lock in. The final step for the impeller is to grab the bolt, and you will have 2 large washers, a smaller washer and a split washer. So just make sure you've got that in the right order. Split washer, small washer, and then 2 large washers. And you're going to pop that in through the center. Grab your 11mm socket and tighten that up. The next step is your float. So make sure you put your float on before you put the outflow on, otherwise the float won't fit over the top. That just sits on top like that. And then you can grab your outflow and you'll see inside there are 3 open holes. Make sure you line those up with the open screw holes inside. And that will lock in, so it won't move if you've lined it up correctly. Then you're going to take your 3 big long bolts, and they should have 2 washers on them, an open washer and a closed washer. And you'll thread them through. Grab your 11mm socket and tighten those bolts up. So go around, tighten them part of the way, and then go around again and tighten them all the way up. Now the final step is your nozzle base. So you're going to take the pointy end of the base, and that will go down into the center. And you'll grab your last bolt and pop that through the center. And grab your Phillips head screwdriver and screw that in. And you'll tighten it all the way down. It can take a little while because it is such a long screw. If you've screwed it all the way in and it's still spinning, this usually means that it's not seated correctly. So you'll just need to grab your screwdriver and unscrew it just a little, give it 1 or 2 turns, and you'll just turn this around and try and reseat it that way. And then tighten it back up. And it should not spin anymore. And that is how you assemble a 1 HP fusion fountain with a new motor or a replacement motor.